We good? Can you hear me right? All right. Okay, so this video has been requested by quite a few of you out there. Quite a few of you out there. Okay, and for that reason, that's why it's here. A few months ago, I made a video that talked about why overthinking worsens erectile dysfunction. And some people wanted to know, okay, we know that part. How can we get past the erectile dysfunction? How can we get to a point where we can enjoy sex again? And that's what I'm going to touch on in this video. Now, if you've ever experienced an episode of erectile dysfunction, for a man, this can be a very defeating experience to go through. You can feel unworthy sometimes because sexual intercourse is a very strong way that we not only connect to the world, but it's a way that we express our desires. And some men also use sexual intercourse as a way to express their prowess, but that's not what I want to talk about on this video. Being in that place where you cannot enjoy sex, where you cannot get an erection with women you find sexually attractive, it's such a defeating moment that most people want to get away from as soon as possible. And even for women who find themselves in this sexual environment with men who are experiencing erectile dysfunction, some women tend to take this on for themselves and think that they're partially, if not fully, responsible for why a man is not experiencing an erection. It doesn't only affect men, but it actually affects women as well, if not even more than men. And in this video, we're going to look at the two types of erectile dysfunction, what causes these two types of erectile dysfunction, how you can tell which kind of erectile dysfunction. I know I'm saying erectile dysfunction quite a bit in this video, but how can you tell which kind of erectile dysfunction you might be experiencing? And lastly, what can you do? Essentially, what things are in your power? What can you do to overcome this kind of frustration? Because not being able to get a hard on, not being able to get an erection is not fun. And speaking of things that are not fun, but in this case necessary, disclaimer. I am not a medical doctor and this is not medical advice. What you're going to hear in this video is not meant to replace medical advice that you might need. And this is not a diagnosis. So with that being said, let's get into it. If you're watching this video, I think it's fair to say that you know what erectile dysfunction is. There are two types of erectile dysfunctions. Number one is the physical erectile dysfunction, and there is psychological erectile dysfunction. Physical erectile dysfunction is the kind of inability to have or maintain an erection that is caused by a medical condition that you might have. It could be caused by a few things. It could be tobacco use. If it's someone who is having a sleep disorder, that could cause it. Overweight or underweight people could also experience the inability to have an erection. High blood pressure, heart disease, and things of that nature. So this is something that needs medical attention. And for some people, there's some things, of course, that you can do. Things like managing a healthy weight. So if you're overweight or obese, you could try to lose weight through physical activity so as to get to that level where your body functions in a normal way. And if you're underweight, of course, you can also gain a little bit of weight to facilitate proper body function. There are other things you can do, obviously. However, if you're the kind of person who might be experiencing physical erectile dysfunction, I advise you to go see a professional because they'll be able to give you advice that's tailored to you and what you're going through. Now, psychological erectile dysfunction is a little bit different, as in it still interrupts your blood flow supply to your reproductive organs, your penis specifically, but it happens because of what's happening in your brain. The things, the thoughts that are going through your brain that are interrupting, that are interfering with your ability to get an erection or maintain an erection when you're with a woman that you find sexually attractive. Some of the things that might be causing psychological erectile dysfunction could be experiencing depression or anxiety. That can lead to it. High levels of stress can also lead to psychological erectile dysfunction. And when you're nervous around a woman whom you find attractive, that interrupts your ability to relax. And another thing that I can add on there is if you're having relationship issues, it could be in your own personal life as far as family life or romantic life. If you're single, that can also inhibit proper blood supply to your penis that is needed for you to have an erection. And one method that you can use to determine if what you experience is psychological or physical erectile dysfunction is by masturbating, by pleasuring yourself. And it might be one of those unorthodox things that most people don't want to either be told to do or admit that they do, but most people do partake in masturbation. And what you can do is find a place that is comfortable and safe for you. It could be your bedroom, it could be your bathroom, restroom, or washroom, depending on where you live and how you call it. But find a place that's comfortable and safe. And from there, try to pleasure yourself. Now, you will find if you're experiencing what is psychological erectile dysfunction, when you're in a safe place, when you're in a place where you feel comfortable, you should be able to get an erection easily and somewhat maintain that erection, because the things that are causing you to not get an erection when you're around a beautiful woman are not available. Could be because you were nervous. That's why you're experiencing erectile dysfunction. However, if you find yourself, even when you're in that space where you feel comfortable and safe, but you have a hard time getting a hard on, no pun intended there, but you're having a hard time, you're having difficulties getting an erection or maintaining an erection even in a safe and comfortable space, then it's very likely, I'm not saying that's what it is, but it's very likely that what you're experiencing is something that needs medical attention. And it could be physical erectile dysfunction due to your body systems not functioning like they're meant to function. So that's a unscientific way that I personally use and I've advised other men to use that has given them a better understanding of what they're going through. So moving forward, if you've determined what you're experiencing is a psychological episode or episodes, if it's happened more than once, of erectile dysfunction, there are a few things you can do. The first thing I would do is ask you, have you gone through a breakup? Because most times when men experience erectile dysfunction, it's with a new woman. This sometimes happens when you've come out of a relationship and you're jumping into getting to know other women, trying to kind of get back in the dating pool. And if you're coming from a breakup or a separation or relationship that has ended, take time to heal and process the grief that comes with ending relationships. You find, especially with men, and I was one of the men that did that, is we try to dull or numb our pain by going out there and doing things and getting busy with either hobbies and activities or sometimes getting sexually active with other women as a way to not deal with our internal grief. Emotions carry energy, and this energy has to be completely processed in order for it to dissipate and go away. So if you're trying to avoid processing that emotional hurt by having sex and interacting with women sexually, you might want to put a pause on that for a bit and process the grief, sit with it. Sometimes you might end up crying, and that's completely fine. You know, that's all part of being a human being, of having feelings and emotions that need to be processed. There is nothing wrong with that. However, if you try to ignore the emotions that want to be expressed, you will find that these things like experiencing erectile dysfunction will keep on persisting in your experiences of dating or trying to get intimate with women. So if you've recently gone through a breakup, take time to process the emotional heaviness or the grief that comes with separation, because we all have to do that once we detach from people that we were very close to. So that's the one thing that I want you to do first before you move on with the other solutions. And the second thing you can do to overcome erectile dysfunction that is psychological is come clean to the women that you're about to have sex with. What happens is that when you let them know of what sometimes happens, it actually loosens the burden that you're carrying. You find that a man who has experienced one episode of psychological erectile dysfunction is going to have that thought at his forefront of it happening again, even when he tries to get intimate with a completely different woman. He's going to be thinking, what if this happens again? What if I fail to get an arousal physically? What if I fail to get an erection and I disappoint this woman? So if you find that it has happened to you in the past, one thing you can do is just get ahead of it. Let her know that, hey, sometimes when things get exciting sexually, I tend to get in my head so much to a point where I cannot have or maintain an erection. I just want to put it out there that it's not you. Sometimes that just happens. My nerves get the best of me. And once you do that, first it puts the woman at ease and it puts you at ease as well, knowing that what you're trying to keep in, what you're trying to avoid from happening is actually something that she's already aware of, and you don't have to worry about if it happens. So keep that in mind. Come clean with a woman. That can be very helpful to calm your nerves in the process. And what you can add on top of coming clean to this woman is give her a full body massage. Now, this is one of those things you can say, hey, Evans, I'm not into that, but it serves quite a few purposes out there. Number one, it's an amazing foreplay. But the main point is that giving the woman that you're about to get sexually intimate with a massage, it takes the focus from what's going on in your brain to putting it on her body, to putting it on the skin-to-skin touch that's happening during a massage. And when you're able to take the attention from your brain and from the chatter that's happening in there and put the focus on her, what it does, it allows you to relax. And that skin-to-skin touch also allows the woman whom you're getting intimate, getting to know sexually, to also calm down a little bit and relax herself. So it serves purposes for both you and her. And the more she relaxes, the more she's going to enjoy the whole process of getting intimate. And the more you are going to stay calmer and have that blood flow going in the places that it's supposed to be going so that you can get and maintain an erection. Fourth solution that I have for people who are experiencing psychological erectile dysfunction is meditation. When you meditate, you create that muscle of having attention and focus, because it's not something that you can just call it as soon as you need it. No, it's like a muscle. The more you give it attention, the more you meditate, and the more you put time into it, the easier it gets for you to go to that place of calmness, to get to that place of full presence when you're trying to get intimate and enjoy a sexual experience with a woman. So meditation is something that you can incorporate on your daily basis. It's going to serve you on your regular life as you're going about your day. And at the same time, it's going to come in handy, especially when your mind is running 1,000 miles an hour because you're trying to avoid experiencing another episode of erectile dysfunction with a woman whom you find sexually attractive. Number 5 is avoid putting women on a pedestal. Most times when a man goes out with a woman whom he finds sexually attractive, he will start thinking about her being above his league, that she's out of my league. You've probably heard that statement before. And when you do that, you're actually opening doors for nervousness to kick in, for you to start thinking that you are less or undeserving or unworthy of the woman that you're about to go out with and possibly get sexually intimate with. So, and when men start thinking of women as being out of their league, what they do is start doing things to compensate for the lack of worthiness that they feel. However, once you look at a woman as someone who's your equal, that she's not above you, so that you're not putting yourself as a doormat by overcompensating and just overdoing things that will eventually turn her off. So she's not above you. No, she's not there. And she's not below you. She's not the kind of woman that you just want to use sexually and you don't really think highly about her or respect her. You are not trying to be at that place because also you can't really connect with someone whom you think is below you. And what we are trying to do is just have an amazing sexual connection with this woman. So avoid putting women on pedestals. Avoid putting women in places that will bring or put nervousness into you. Now, nervousness is something that comes either way, but when you add nervousness, which comes naturally by going out with women that you find attractive, and also put that woman on a pedestal, you find that that's a recipe for psychological erectile dysfunction to happen if you end up getting to a space where she's open to connecting with you sexually on a date. Another thing you can do, and I think I've lost track where the numbers go, is probably 6 or 7, is surrender. And when I say surrender, I don't mean that you become passive about what's happening. What I mean is you accept that whatever is going to happen is going to happen. So if you've experienced an episode of erectile dysfunction recently and you surrender to whatever might happen, you find that your mentality is at a place where if I end up experiencing an episode of erectile dysfunction with her, that's fine. it's not the end of the world. And if I end up not experiencing an episode of erectile dysfunction and able to get an erection, maintain an erection, and connect with her sexually in a deep way, that is also amazing. What you're trying to do there is take away attachments to what you want to happen, because as soon as you put attachments, you start having expectations, and once those expectations are not met, you start overdoing things, you start overthinking, which, as we already know, worsens erectile dysfunction. So surrender becomes that space where you can go to and just accept and practice acceptance and say, hey, whatever happens, happens. And once you do that, you find that you will step into the possibility of having sex with this woman in a way that you don't really feel like you have to perform or show up in one way or another, which puts your mind and body at ease. And an ease body and ease mind will allow for proper functions like circulation to happen, where blood flows where it's supposed to. And if there is sexual arousal, it'll be very easy for blood to flow to your penis for you to experience that sexual connection in a deep way, if I might say. All right, so that was number 6 or 7. And the last thing you can do is reveal your irresistible spots to a woman that you're about to connect with sexually. This can be a very scary place to be. I know women think that it's scary for them to reveal those irresistible spots on them, but even for men, sometimes they look at, let's say, being overly sensitive in one area of their body sexually as a vulnerability. And that vulnerability is something that they try to avoid as much as possible. But this can actually be a tool that you can tap into, where you reveal to the woman that, hey, when you kiss my neck, or when you touch me on this place, or when you kiss or lick my nipples in a certain way, it makes me irresistible to whatever is happening. It just arouses me so intensely. It actually does a few things. It gives that woman the key, okay? The power to turn you on as she wishes, because that place, that spot on your body, let's say it's your neck, leg, ears, whatever, is something that brings you fully to that space of I'm here, I'm present. Let's say if she engages that irresistible spot on your body, your attention just comes to here. Your breath deepens, where instead of you being nervous and having shallow breaths, you start breathing deeper, which is because she's touching these places, she's activating you sexually in a way that's irresistible. And once you're breathing fully, it actually also has a calming effect, takes away anxiety. And this has been scientifically proven, where deep breathing in a certain way actually takes away anxiety. So if you can reveal to a woman the irresistible spots in your body, again, it kind of makes her the master of your pleasure, where she controls your pleasure in one way or another. And women sometimes have a lot of fun playing around with a man's arousal. And at the same time, what's that drip that's happening? Oh, shit. All right, I think it's the humidifier doing its thing. And sometimes when a woman knows that she has the key to pleasing you or to arousing you just when she wants, how she wants it, it makes her the master of your pleasure. And some women actually do enjoy that. So give her that power, let her know that she can do that. And by her doing that, it actually calms you, it puts you in the present moment, because you cannot resist it. And at the same time, you cannot be present in the moment and also be in your brain thinking of what might happen. You can't be aroused to that extent and also be in your brain. So keep that in mind, where you can use your physical body, the physical nature of deep breaths that takes away anxiety, by letting the woman know that if you do this, if you touch here, if you lick or kiss here, it just drives me crazy. So reveal that to the woman, I think, regardless, but especially if you're experiencing, or if you've experienced erectile dysfunction with women, it puts you in a place where you can relax more and enjoy being present with a woman. So I hope that answers a few questions out there, and I hope it provides a direction to take for some of you who might be experiencing erectile dysfunction. And you might be able to just use one of them and you get over the hump, over the, I feel like there's so many puns that can be put in here, but you get to the other side, essentially, of experiencing pleasure. However, if one thing doesn't work, again, just go down the list and start implementing a few. Use them in a way that you feel might suit you best. Take it easy on yourself. Erectile dysfunction is normal. Just be very mindful that don't get held back by it. Don't try to avoid sexual encounters by the fact that you have experienced a few episodes of erectile dysfunction. For some people, they experience it once. Other people, they will experience it twice. If you're like me, it happened 6 times, but there's no set number that you have to go through before you overcome it. However, if you keep a positive mentality, keep trying things with an open mind, you will almost certainly get over the hump onto the other side. And for some of you who might have experienced erectile dysfunction in the past and actually went past it, I would love to know in the comment section, what is it that you did? How was the experience for you? So that I think other people can go down there in the comment sections. Gosh, other people can go on the comment sections and be able to read and get more answers and maybe ideas of what they might be able to implement as well. If this is your first time, subscribe to the channel. If you like what you hear, if you find it like it's providing value to you, I would love to have you as a subscriber. And there's a few things coming in the channel, just a few changes that are happening that I think you might want to hear as well. So thank you very much for being here, and I'll catch you guys in another one. Bye-bye.